Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So, Army versus Navy. I know I don't talk a lot about the Royal Navy. The reason being is because I consider the Royal Navy to be much more difficult to get in as a Commonwealth individual. However, it is possible that you can get in the Royal Navy, but it will take more qualifications, more things will be needed in order to join the Royal Navy as opposed to the Army. So guys, without any further ado, first off, one of the most important aspects of joining any armed force is basically the age restriction. So when it comes on to the Army, the age requirement is 16 to 33. Bearing in mind that if you're joining from the Commonwealth, this is going to be different because a 16-year-old would not initially join the Army. What would happen is they would be sent to college. So we call that Arenge, where they would get trained as a underage individual. So they're not classified as an adult. So they'll be trained as an underage individual at Arenge. And then when they get to the age of 18, then they'll join the General Army. So it's a little bit different. But for Commonwealth, that won't happen. This is really for British nationals only. So let's say if we're talking about the Commonwealth, it's 18 to 33. So 33 is a cutoff age that you can join the Army. Now the Navy, on the other hand, is 16 to 39. So it's a longer age limit regarding the Navy as opposed to the Army. And again, more than likely, if you're 16, it would work out for you. I'd say 18 to 39 would be the age range in which you can join the Royal Navy. Now, let's talk about qualification. Now, in regards to the Army, there's not necessarily any formal qualification. It's just a matter of the more qualities you have, the better job prospects there is. So you can join the Army without subjects, without any qualifications at all. However, the job opportunity would be limited for you as opposed to individuals who have more than one GCSE. And I know it's different for Caribbean, it's CXC. So the more qualities you have, the better prospects there is for you in regards to joining. You look more attractive to the military, so they'd want to definitely have you. But if you don't have any CXCs, GCSEs, that doesn't hinder you from joining. Now, the Navy, on the other hand, is a little bit more tricky. You do require maths and English as a base subject to join the Royal Navy. And of course, the more subjects you have, the better prospect there is for you. But yeah, Navy, definitely you need qualities. It's really like any armed forces where, especially, like you have the police force and you have the military. It's usually different. Police tend to require more qualifications than the soldiers. And this is because regarding police, it's more academia. It's more academically focused as opposed to the military. But yeah, going on to that, so the more subjects you have is the better. Now, regarding the Navy as well, one more requirement that you will need is to be able to swim. So in order to join the Navy, you would need to be able to swim because, of course, it's a sea job. So that's one of the requirements, and they will test to see if you can swim in order to join. In regards to you having to have a certificate to prove that you can swim, not necessarily. It all depends. There's a variation, but at least you need to have the competence because as part of your selection, you will be tested on your swimming skills. Not that you have to be the greatest swimmer, but swim to survive, put it that way. Regarding the Army, it's a bit different. You don't need swimming as a requirement. However, when you're in the Army, they do teach you to swim for most corps, because I was taught to swim in the Army, but I could have swum before. It's really weird because both Caribbean, we have so many sea and rivers, but a lot of people can't swim from the Caribbean, which is really strange. I don't get it, but yeah, that's one of the things that really is a bit funny to me. But yeah, you will definitely need to be able to swim to join the Navy. The Army, not so much. You don't need it. But if you can, it doesn't hurt to be able to swim. In regards to the training, it's totally different. When I say totally different, the hardest training that you get is in the British Army. We're not talking about commander now. We're talking about like compared to the Royal Navy, the Royal Air Force, and the Army. The Army's training is more rigorous. The Royal Navy, not so much. The Air Force, even easier. The training is so easy. But I'm not gonna focus on the Air Force because that's for another video. But Army training is harder than you'd get in the Royal Navy. And like I said before, it's because it's a bit more sophisticated. And that's the word I'd use. We always say, Navy tend to get the best hotels, they tend to get the best treatment compared to the Army. And that's fine because, you know what you're going in for. But I'm just letting you know that, it's a little bit different, when it comes on to how the experience, even their training is more glamorous in terms of where they get to stay and so on. Now, in regards to which one is easier to join, the reason why I mentioned that the Army is easier is because of those qualifications that you need to join the Navy. And of course, the Navy test is harder, way harder than the British Army cognitive test. In my opinion, the only thing in terms of easier when it comes on to the Navy is the physical test. It's easier physically for the Navy, but it's harder physically for the Army, and it's easier cognitively for the Army, but harder cognitively for the Navy. So you're gonna get some tougher maths tests because you have to do a test once you're here in the UK, and it's gonna be tougher than a cognitive test that you would get in the Army. And I'm gonna throw up an example of what a cognitive test would look like for the Army, and what it would look like for the Navy. So it's completely different tests. So you just have to bear that in mind, that the Navy, you're gonna have to be more academically inclined than you would need to be for the Army. So those are pretty much some of the differences. But in terms of the process, you apply. It's the same process in terms of you apply, you go through the necessary stages in terms of your medical, etc. You get screened and you get invited to the UK to attend your assessment. But the only difference is you're going to be asked to do a swimming test. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah, they're pretty much similarities in both jobs, in both forces, but they're different in certain areas, as in physically, physical strength and cognitive ability. So those are some of the variations and difference. What I'm saying to people now is, I would say if you want to join, you should apply for both the Army and the Navy, just so you can have options. In my opinion, that makes a lot more sense than just applying for one, because at least then you have two options. So guys, that's pretty much it. Hope I've explained. I know it's not as in-depth, but at least you have an idea of the difference of both, of what it entails to join. If you're interested in the Army or the Navy, at least you have an idea of what the requirements are. So guys, I do hope you enjoyed this video. Please remember to give it a thumbs up if you like it. Do share this video and leave a comment in the comment section with any questions that you have, and I'll be happy to respond to you. Until next time, Godspeed. Big ups. Bye guys. Bye.